I heard her say it through the kitchen wall. Just crush 2 pills. She won't taste it in the red wine. I was standing in the hallway outside my son Michael's kitchen, one hand on the doorframe, the other holding my purse. I had arrived early for Sunday dinner, the way I always did, and found the house empty except for voices coming from the kitchen. Michael's voice, low and worried, and Jessica's, my daughter-in-law, impatient, certain. "She's 74, Jessica continued. "She shouldn't be making financial decisions anymore. We need her signature on that power of attorney before she changes her mind again." I pressed myself flat against the wall, barely breathing. "I don't know, Jess." Michael sounded tired. "It feels wrong." "Wrong is letting her throw away your inheritance on those ridiculous charities. She donated $15,000 last month, Michael. 15,000. That's our money. Our money. My money earned over 42 years as a hospital administrator, saved carefully, invested wisely, mine to do with as I chose. But to them, it was theirs. I heard the sound of a cabinet opening, pills rattling, then the crack of tablets being crushed. "Just put it in her glass," Jessica said. "She'll sign the papers, sleep it off, and tomorrow everything will be easier." My heartbeat was loud in my ears, not racing, steady, calm, the way it used to be during budget crises at the hospital when everyone else panicked and I made lists. I looked down at my purse, the black leather one I had carried for 10 years. Inside was my phone, my wallet, my keys to the house I had owned for 37 years, the house where Michael had grown up, the house I had worked 70-hour weeks to afford. I looked at the kitchen door, slightly ajar, light spilling into the hallway. Then I walked in. "Hello," I said brightly. Jessica jumped, nearly dropping the mortar and pestle in her hand. White powder covered the granite counter. Michael turned from the stove where he had been stirring something that smelled like garlic and tomatoes. "Mum?" His face went pale. "We didn't hear you come in." "The door was unlocked," I said, setting my purse on the counter next to the powder. I looked at it, looked at Jessica. "What are you making?" "Just..." Jessica glanced at Michael. "Just grinding some spices for the sauce." "In a mortar and pestle?" I kept my voice light, curious. "How old-fashioned?" Jessica laughed, too loud. "I like to do things the traditional way." "I can see that." I walked to the wine glasses arranged on the counter, 4 of them, 2 already filled with red wine. One had a small mark on the rim, a tiny chip I recognized from when Michael had brought the set home from a department store sale 5 years ago. That glass had always bothered me, the way the chip caught on your lip when you drank. "Is this mine?" I picked up the chipped glass. Actually, Jessica reached for it. "That one's mine. I like that glass." "Really?" I tilted my head. "It's chipped." I know. I'm used to it. We looked at each other. Her eyes were grey, careful, calculating. She was 42, 15 years younger than Michael, and she moved through the world with the confidence of someone who had always gotten what she wanted. When Michael had introduced us 8 years ago, I had thought she was smart, driven, a good match for my quiet son, who preferred reading to confrontation. I had not known then that she saw me as an obstacle. "Well," I said, smiling, "if you're sure." I set the chipped glass down and picked up the other filled glass, the one without the chip. Then I walked to the dining room, glass in hand, and sat at the head of the table where I always sat. I heard them whispering in the kitchen, could not make out the words, did not need to. I knew which glass had the powder. I knew which glass Jessica had tried to give me, and I knew, sitting there with the weight of the wine glass in my hand, that I had just switched them. Michael came out first, carrying a salad bowl. He set it on the table without meeting my eyes. Jessica followed with the chipped glass, the one I had put back on the counter. She sat across from me, raised the glass to her lips and drank deeply. "Good wine, Michael," she said. "Thanks. It's from that vineyard we visited last year." I sipped from my glass. It tasted like wine, just wine, nothing else. Jessica drank again, finished half the glass. Michael served the pasta. We made small talk about the weather, about Amy, their 14-year-old daughter, my only grandchild, who was upstairs doing homework. Jessica refilled her glass from the bottle, drank. "Where did you say Amy was?" I asked. "Upstairs. She has a history test tomorrow." Jessica's words were slightly slower now. She blinked hard. "She's been studying all weekend." "She's a good student," I said. "She gets it from you." Jessica smiled, but it was loose, unfocused. "Michael says you were always the smart one. I worked hard." Jessica picked up her fork, looked at it like she had forgotten what it was for. "Work, yes, important." Michael frowned. "Jess, you okay?" "Fine, just..." She pressed her fingers to her forehead. "Just tired, long week." She tried to stand. Her chair scraped against the floor. She took one step, then another. Then her knees buckled and she collapsed sideways, hitting the floor hard. Michael shouted her name and dropped next to her. I sat very still, watching. Jessica's eyes were closed. Her breathing was deep, regular, not distressed, not in danger, just asleep. "Mum?" Michael looked at me, his face terrified. "Call 911. I pulled my phone from my purse, slowly, deliberately. "Of course," I said. And I dialed. The paramedics arrived 12 minutes later. I had timed it on my phone, sitting at the table while Michael crouched next to Jessica on the floor, checking her pulse, saying her name over and over. Amy had come downstairs when she heard the shouting, stood in the doorway with her history textbook still in her hand, her face white. Is Mum okay? She asked. She fainted, I said. The paramedics are coming. Should I do something? Come sit with me. She sat in the chair next to mine and I took her hand. It was cold, trembling. She was 14, tall and thin, like her father had been at that age, with Jessica's grey eyes, but Michael's quiet way of watching the world. Grandma, she whispered, what happened? I don't know yet, sweetheart. A lie. The first of many I would tell that night. The paramedics checked Jessica's vitals, asked questions Michael could not answer. Had she taken any medication? Did she have any medical conditions? Had she been drinking? Just wine, Michael said. 1 glass, maybe 2. They loaded Jessica onto a stretcher. Her eyes fluttered open briefly, unfocused, then closed again. We're taking her to St. Catherine's, one paramedic said. You can follow us. Michael looked at me. Mum, can you stay with Amy? Of course. He grabbed his keys and ran out. The ambulance pulled away, lights flashing, but no siren, which meant not critical, just concerning. The house went quiet. Amy and I sat at the table with the half-eaten pasta and the wine glasses and the salad bowl. I could see Jessica's glass, the chipped one, empty now except for dark red residue at the bottom. Did she drink too much? Amy asked quietly. I don't think so. Then what, Amy? I turned to look at her. Your mother will be fine. It's probably just exhaustion. She works very hard. Amy nodded, but she was crying now, silent tears running down her face. I pulled her close and let her cry against my shoulder, smelling her shampoo, feeling how small she still was despite her height. We sat like that for 10 minutes. Then my phone buzzed. Michael, they're running tests. Might be a few hours. Are you okay staying with Amy tonight? Yes, we'll be here. I helped Amy clean up the dinner dishes. We worked silently, scraping plates, loading the dishwasher. She moved mechanically, not really present, and I did not try to make conversation. When the kitchen was clean, I walked her upstairs to her room. Try to sleep, I said. Your dad will call if anything changes. Okay. She looked at me from her doorway, young and scared. Grandma? Yes? I'm glad you're here. Something in my chest tightened. Me too, sweetheart. I went back downstairs and sat in the living room with the lights off, looking out the front window at the street. It was dark now, past 9, and the neighbourhood was quiet except for a dog barking somewhere far away. I thought about the pills. I thought about Jessica crushing them, saying she won't taste it, saying our money. I thought about Michael stirring sauce while his wife planned to drug me. And I thought about the power of attorney document they wanted me to sign, the one that would give them control of my bank accounts, my investments, my house, everything I had worked for. My phone buzzed again. Michael, they found sedatives in her system. She's stable but unconscious. Doctors don't understand how. She doesn't have a prescription. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I typed, "I need to tell you something. Come home when you can. Jessica will be fine." I did not wait for his response. I put the phone face down on the coffee table and closed my eyes. The house settled around me with familiar sounds, the refrigerator humming, the heater clicking on, the creak of floorboards upstairs where Amy was probably not sleeping. This was my son's house, the one I had helped him buy 8 years ago. With a $75,000 down payment I had given as a gift, not a loan, because that was what mothers did for their children. This was the house where they had planned to drug me at dinner. I opened my eyes and looked around the living room. The furniture was nice, expensive, the kind you see in magazines. Cream-coloured sofa, glass coffee table, abstract art on the walls, everything coordinated, everything careful, everything purchased with money I had helped provide through gifts, loans that were never repaid, emergencies that happened every few months. For 8 years I had been their bank. For 8 years I had said yes. Tonight I had switched the glasses. Tomorrow I would switch everything else. Michael came home at 2 in the morning. I was still awake, sitting in the same chair, though I had turned on one lamp, so the house would not be completely dark when he arrived. I heard his car in the driveway, heard the engine cut off, heard his footsteps on the front walk, heavy, slow, exhausted. He came through the door and stopped when he saw me. "You're still up! I was waiting for you." He dropped his keys on the entry table and rubbed his face with both hands. He looked older than 57, lines deep around his eyes, shoulders slumped forward. He was wearing the blue sweater I had given him for Christmas 2 years ago, the cashmere one that had cost more than I usually spent, but I had wanted him to have something nice. "How is she?" I asked. "Stable. Unconscious still, but the doctors say she'll wake up in a few hours. They're keeping her overnight for observation." He walked to the sofa and collapsed onto it. "I don't understand what happened, Mum. The doctors said there were sedatives in her system. 2 different kinds. She doesn't take anything like that." "I know what happened," I said quietly. He looked at me. "I got here early," I continued, "around 5:30. The door was unlocked. I heard you and Jessica talking in the kitchen." His face changed. Not dramatically, just a small shift, like a door closing behind his eyes. "What did you hear?" "Everything. The pills, the wine, the power of attorney." I kept my voice level, factual, the way I used to speak in hospital board meetings when presenting budget shortfalls. "Jessica said you needed my signature before I changed my mind again. She said I was throwing away your inheritance." Michael closed his eyes. "I switched the glasses," I said. "The one she drugged. The one meant for me, I gave to her instead." Silence. The heater clicked on. Somewhere upstairs, a floorboard creaked. Amy moving around in her room. "Mom?" Michael's voice was barely above a whisper. "I didn't. I told her it was wrong. I told her we shouldn't." "But you didn't stop her." "I didn't think she'd actually do it. You were in the kitchen when she crushed the pills, Michael. You watched her do it. I was hoping—" He stopped, started again. "I thought maybe she was just talking, just venting. She gets like that sometimes, says things she doesn't mean." I looked at my son, this man I had raised alone after his father left when he was 3. This man I had worked double shifts to put through college. This man I had given $75,000 to for his house and tens of thousands more over the years for emergencies. That somehow never stopped coming. "She meant it," I said. "And you let her?" "I didn't." His voice broke. "Mum, I swear to God, I didn't know she would actually go through with it. I thought she'd calm down, forget about it. I didn't think you didn't stop her. That's what matters." He put his head in his hands. I sat there watching him and felt something strange. Not anger, not grief, something more like disappointment that had calcified into acceptance. "Why do you need a power of attorney?" I asked. "What are you planning to do with my money? It's not like that." "Then what is it like?" He lifted his head. His eyes were red, but he was not crying. "You're 74, Mum. You're making questionable decisions. That donation last month, $15,000 to some animal rescue charity, that's not normal. It was a legitimate non-profit. I researched it thoroughly. They save dogs from puppy mills. $15,000 for dogs. My money, my choice." "What about when you're older? What about nursing homes, medical care? You're spending through your savings like they're endless." "I have enough," I said calmly. I ran the numbers. "I have enough to live comfortably until I'm 95, accounting for inflation and medical costs. I'm not being reckless, I'm being generous. There's a difference. Jessica thinks it's her money." The words hung in the air between us. "It's not," I continued. "It's mine. I earned it. I saved it, and I'll spend it how I choose." "We're not trying to steal from you, Mom. We just want to make sure you're taken care of." "By drugging me?" His face crumpled. "I didn't know she'd go that far, I swear. But you knew she wanted to. You knew she was planning something. And you didn't tell me, you didn't warn me, you stirred the sauce and let her crush the pills. What do you want me to say?" His voice rose, not quite yelling but close. "That I'm a terrible son? That I chose my wife over you? Fine, I did. I'm sorry, but you don't understand what it's like, Mom. The pressure, the mortgage, Amy's school, Jessica's expectations. We're drowning, and you're giving $15,000 to save dogs." I stood up slowly, my knees protesting. 74 years old after all, and picked up my purse from the coffee table. "I'm going home," I said. "Mom, tell Amy I'll call her tomorrow. Tell her I love her." "You're leaving now? It's 2 in the morning. Yes. I walked to the door. Michael followed me. What are you going to do? He asked. I turned to look at him one last time. I'm going to stop drowning with you, I said. Then I walked out into the cold November night, got in my car and drove home to the house I had owned for 37 years, the house no one had a key to except me. The house where I could think clearly without anyone asking for my signature. I did not sleep that night. I sat in my kitchen with a cup of tea I never drank, watching it go cold on the table while the sky outside shifted from black to deep blue to grey. The house was quiet, the way it always was when I was alone. No voices, no footsteps, no demands for attention or money or signatures, just silence. Weighted silence that pressed against my ribs but did not suffocate. At 7 a.m, I opened my laptop and logged into my bank account. I had been organised about money my entire life. The way you have to be when you raise a child alone on one salary. Every month for 42 years, I had tracked every expense, every investment, every charitable donation. I knew exactly where my money went, and I knew exactly how much went to Michael. I opened the spreadsheet I had created 3 years ago, the one labelled Family Support. It had started as a way to track birthday gifts and holiday checks. It had grown into something else. Monthly mortgage supplement, $1,200. Car payment, $450. Amy's private school tuition, $100. Amy's private school tuition, $100. $100. Total monthly to Michael's household, $4,250. For 3 years, $153,000. I stared at the number for a long time. Then I opened the automatic payment settings and began clicking through them systematically, one by one, cancelling each transfer with a few clicks of the mouse. Mortgage supplement, cannelage. Car payment, cannelage. School tuition, cannelage. Emergency fund, cannelage. The bank's website asked me to confirm each cancellation. Are you sure you want to stop this recurring payment? Yes, 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 yes. When I finished, I sat back and looked at the screen. All the automatic payments I had set up over the years, gone, deleted, as if they had never existed. My phone rang. Michael. I let it go to voicemail. He called again. Voicemail. A text. Mum, please answer. I need to talk to you. I set the phone face down on the table and made fresh tea. At 9 a.m. I called my bank directly. This is Helen Marsh, I told the representative, account number ending in 4782. I need to remove an authorised user. Of course, Ms. Marsh. Can you provide the name of the authorised user? Michael Marsh, my son. A pause, keys clicking. I see he's been an authorised user since 2015. May I ask the reason for removal? Personal reasons. Understood. I'll process that immediately. Please note, he'll no longer be able to access account information or make withdrawals. That's exactly what I want. Done. Is there anything else I can help you with? Yes, I'd like to place a fraud alert on my account, and I want to require in-person verification with photo ID for any large withdrawals or account changes. More keys clicking. That's all set, Ms. Marsh. You'll receive a confirmation email within the hour. Thank you. I hung up and sat there with the phone in my hand, feeling something shift in my chest. Not relief exactly, more like the sensation of setting down something heavy you have been carrying for miles. My phone buzzed with another text from Michael. Mum, the mortgage payment bounced. I don't understand what happened. Please call me. I did not call. Instead, I made a list on a legal pad I kept in the kitchen drawer, the kind of list I used to make at the hospital when preparing for budget meetings. Clean, numbered, actionable. Shet. Cancel automatic payments. Shet. Remove Michael as authorized user. Shet. Fraud alert on account. Schedule appointment with attorney. Change will. Create trust for Amy. Review all shared accounts. Change locks on house. I was on item 4 when someone knocked on my door. Michael. I could see him through the window, standing on my front porch, still wearing the blue sweater from last night, looking exhausted and desperate. I walked to the door but did not open it. Mum, please, he said through the wood. I need to talk to you. I don't want to talk, Michael. The mortgage bounced. Our car payment bounced. What did you do? I stopped paying for your life. Silence. You can't just... His voice cracked. Mum, we're going to lose the house. No, you're going to have to pay for the house. The house I gave you $75,000 to buy. The house where your wife tried to drug me so you could steal the rest of my money. It wasn't stealing, we were trying to help you. By taking away my autonomy? By making decisions for me without my consent? I pressed my hand flat against the door. That's not help, Michael. That's control. What do you want from me? He shouted. What do you want me to say? Nothing. I don't want anything from you anymore. I heard him crying then, quiet sobs on the other side of the door. Part of me wanted to open it. Part of me wanted to let him in, make him tea, tell him we would figure it out together the way we always had. But I did not. I walked back to the kitchen and looked at my list. Item 4, schedule appointment with attorney. I picked up my phone and called Thomas Wright, the attorney who had handled my will 10 years ago. Tom, it's Helen Marsh. I need to make some changes to my estate plan. How soon can you see me? Thomas Wright's office was in a brick building downtown, 3rd floor, with windows that overlooked the courthouse square. I had been there twice before. Once when Robert died and I needed to settle his estate, and once 10 years ago when I wrote my will. That will had left everything to Michael. I arrived 15 minutes early and sat in the waiting room with my purse in my lap and my list folded in my coat pocket. The receptionist offered me coffee. I declined. My hands were already steady. I did not need anything to calm me. Tom came out at exactly 10 o'clock, the same quiet man in his 60s, I remembered, wearing a grey suit and glasses he pushed up with one finger when he looked at documents. "Helen, good to see you, though I wish it were under better circumstances." He shook my hand. "Come on back." His office was neat, organised, everything labelled and filed. He gestured to the chair across from his desk, and I sat. "You said you want to make changes to your will," he began, pulling a folder from his desk drawer. "Before we get into specifics, can you tell me what prompted this?" I told him. All of it. The overheard conversation, the crushed pills, the switched glasses, the emergency room, the confrontation, the cancelled payments, Michael crying on my porch. Tom listened without interrupting, taking occasional notes on a legal pad. When I finished, he set down his pen and looked at me over his glasses. "That's quite a situation," he said carefully. "Yes. And you're certain you want to disinherit your son?" "Not entirely. I want to create a protected trust for my granddaughter, Amy. She's 14. The trust would mature when she turns 25, giving her access to enough money for college, graduate school if she wants it, and a down payment on a house. The rest of my estate would go to selected charities." "And Michael?" "Nothing." Tom nodded slowly. "I need to be clear about something, Helen. This kind of change, made shortly after an incident like the one you described, could be contested. Michael could argue you were acting under duress or that you weren't of sound mind. I'm 74, not senile, and I'm not acting under duress. I'm acting with clarity. For the first time in years, actually, I believe you. But a court might not see it that way. Then we make it airtight. What do I need to do?" Tom picked up his pen again. "First, we'll need a competency evaluation from a doctor. Someone who can testify that you're of sound mind, making rational decisions. Do you have a primary care physician? Dr. Sarah Chen. I've been seeing her for 12 years. Good. I'll draw up a letter requesting the evaluation. Second, we'll include a no contest clause in the will. If Michael tries to challenge it, he forfeits any potential inheritance entirely." "Perfect." "Third, we'll create the trust for Amy with you as trustee. You'll have full control over the funds until your death, at which point they transfer to her automatically when she turns 25. What if something happens to me before she's 25? We'll appoint a backup trustee, someone you trust completely." I thought about this, my friend Linda. We've known each other since college. She's financially stable, good with money, and she loves Amy. I'll need her contact information. I gave it to him. We spent the next hour going through details, asset lists, charitable organisations, specific bequests. Tom asked questions, made notes, explained legal terms I did not understand. He was thorough, patient, never rushed. At one point he paused and looked at me. "Helen, I have to ask, are you completely certain about this? Disinheriting a child it's a significant decision, one that's very difficult to reverse emotionally, even if you change the legal documents later." I thought about Michael on my porch, crying. I thought about Jessica crushing pills. I thought about 42 years of working, saving, sacrificing, only to be seen as an obstacle, a checkbook, a problem to be managed. "I'm certain," I said. Tom nodded. "Then let's make it official." He spent 20 minutes drafting the document outline on his computer, then printed several pages for me to review. I read each one carefully, the way I used to read budget reports at the hospital, checking every number, every clause, every word. "This looks correct," I said. "I'll have the final documents ready by Friday. You'll need to come back to sign them in front of witnesses. I'll arrange for a notary." "Thank you, Tom.
There's one more thing."
He handed me a business card. "This is a colleague who specializes in elder law. If Jessica and Michael try to pursue guardianship or claim you're incompetent, you'll need someone who can fight that aggressively. Keep this card." I slipped it into my purse. "I'll see you Friday," he said. I drove home slowly, not because I was hesitant, but because I wanted time to think. The November sky was grey, threatening rain, and the trees were almost bare now, their branches black against the clouds. My phone had 11 missed calls from Michael. 4 from Jessica's number. She must have woken up, been released from the hospital. I did not listen to the voicemails. When I got home, I made lunch, soup from a can, toast with butter, and sat at my kitchen table with the legal pad. Item 4. Schedule appointment with attorney. Item 5. In progress. Change will. I added a new item. Item 9. Get competency evaluation from Dr. Chen. Then I called and made the appointment for Wednesday. That afternoon, Amy called. "Grandma?" Her voice was small, uncertain. "Hi, sweetheart. Dad said you're not paying for my school anymore." My chest tightened. "Amy, it's okay. I mean, it's not okay. But I understand. Mum told me what happened, what she tried to do." She was quiet for a moment. "I'm really sorry, Grandma. You have nothing to apologize for." Are you still mad at Dad?" I thought about how to answer this. Amy was 14. She did not need the full weight of adult complications. "I'm not mad," I said finally. "I'm just setting boundaries. Do you know what that means?" "Kind of. It means I love you and your father very much, but I can't keep letting people treat me in ways that hurt me, even people I love." Oh, she was quiet again. "Can I still see you?" "Of course, whenever you want." "Can I come over this weekend?" "Just me?" "I would love that." "Okay." I heard her exhale, relieved. "Okay. I'll ask Dad to drop me off Saturday. I'll make your favourite cookies, the oatmeal ones." With chocolate chips? Those exact ones. We talked for a few more minutes about school, about her history test, about the friend drama happening in her class. Normal things, safe things. When we hung up, I sat with the phone in my hand and felt something I had not expected. Hope. Not for Michael, not for Jessica, but for Amy. For the chance to have one relationship in my family that was not about money, not about control, not about what I could give, but simply about being grandmother and granddaughter. On Friday, I returned to Tom's office and signed the new will in front of 2 witnesses and a notary. My hand did not shake. 3 weeks passed. Michael called every few days. I did not answer, but I listened to the voicemails. The first week, anger. You're being unreasonable. We're family. You can't just cut us off. Like this. The second week, desperation. Mum, please. Jessica's mother had to lend us money for the mortgage. This is humiliating. Just talk to me. The third week, contrition. I'm sorry. We're both sorry. Can we please sit down and talk about this? I know we messed up. I deleted each voicemail after listening. On a Saturday in early December, Amy came to visit, as promised. Michael dropped her off at 11, waved from the car without getting out, and drove away quickly. Amy stood on my porch with a backpack, looking nervous. "Hi, Grandma. Come in, sweetheart, it's cold." I had made the oatmeal chocolate chip cookies as promised. They were cooling on the counter, filling the house with the smell of vanilla and butter. Amy set her backpack by the door and followed me into the kitchen. She was wearing jeans and a purple hoodie I had not seen. Before, her dark hair pulled back in a ponytail. "How's school?" I asked, pouring her a glass of milk. "Good. I got an A on my history test." "The one you were studying for that night?" "Yeah." She took a cookie, bit into it. "These are perfect." We sat at the kitchen table and talked about safe things, her classes, her friends, a book she was reading about space exploration. She was animated when she talked about school, her face lighting up the way Michael's used to when he was her age and discovered something new. After an hour, she went quiet. "Grandma?" she said carefully. "Can I ask you something?" "Of course." "Are you mad at me too because of what Mum did?" I reached across the table and took her hand. "No, not even a little bit." "But you're mad at Dad?" "I'm disappointed in your dad. That's different." "He's really upset. He cries sometimes when he thinks I can't hear." Something in my chest tightened, but I kept my voice steady. "I'm sure he is. What happened has consequences. Mum wants to come talk to you, to apologise." "I know. She left me several voicemails. Will you meet with her?" I looked at Amy, at her young face trying so hard to fix something that was not hers to fix. "Maybe," I said, "but not yet. I'm not ready." "Okay." She nodded accepting this. Can I tell you something? Anything? I don't think what Mum did was right. I know she was worried about money and stuff, but... She paused, choosing her words carefully. You're not old, Grandma. You're not confused. You're like the smartest person I know. And she shouldn't have tried to trick you. I felt tears prick at my eyes, but I did not let them fall. Thank you for saying that. It's true. She squeezed my hand. And I want you to know that even if Dad and Mom are mad about the money stuff, I'm not. The money doesn't matter to me. I just want to see you. Oh, sweetheart. I pulled her into a hug and held her for a long time, this girl who was becoming a young woman, who had more wisdom at 14 than her parents had at 57 and 42. When I let her go, I said, "There's something I need to tell you. About my will." Her eyes widened slightly. "I've set up a trust for you," I continued. "When you turn 25, you'll receive money for college, graduate school if you want it, and to help you start your adult life. It's protected. No one can touch it except you. Even Dad? Even your dad." She absorbed this information slowly. "Does he?" "No, not yet, but he will eventually. He's going to be really upset." "Yes, but it's my decision to make, not his." We sat in silence for a moment. Then Amy said quietly, "Thank you, Grandma." "You're welcome." That afternoon, after Michael picked Amy up, I did something I had not done in months. I called my friend Linda. We had known each other since college, had been roommates senior year, had stayed in touch through marriages and careers and children. But over the past few years, I had seen her less and less, always too busy helping Michael with some emergency, always too tired to make plans. "Helen?" Linda's voice was warm, surprised. "I was just thinking about you. How are you?" I'm okay. Better than okay, actually. Can we have coffee this week?" "Absolutely." "Tuesday? 10 a.m. at the place on Hawthorne? Perfect." We met on Tuesday and I told her. Everything over 2 hours and 3 cups of coffee. The dinner, the pills, the switch, the bank calls, the will, all of it. Linda listened without judgment, occasionally reaching across the table to squeeze my hand. When I finished, she said, "I'm proud of you." "Really, Helen, I've watched you bend over backwards for Michael for years, giving him money, bailing him out, making excuses for Jessica's behaviour. I never said anything because he's your son and it wasn't my place. But," she paused, "you were disappearing. Do you know that? Every time I saw you, you seemed a little smaller, a little more tired, like you were being slowly erased." Her words hit me with unexpected force. I felt that way, I admitted, like I only existed as someone's mother or someone's ATM, not as myself. And now, I thought about this, about my kitchen table with Amy, about the legal documents in my filing cabinet, about the mortgage payment I no longer made. Now I exist, I said simply. Linda smiled. Good. Let's make a plan to exist together. Lunch once a week. Book club. That pottery class we always talked about taking. I'd like that. Also, she added, I want to show you something. She pulled out her phone and showed me photos of a community garden near her house. Raised beds full of flowers, vegetables, herbs. People of all ages working together, tending plants, talking. They're looking for volunteers, she said. It's every Saturday morning. Fresh air, exercise, and you. Get to take home whatever you harvest. I looked at the photos, at the bright colours, at the people smiling, at the dirt under their fingernails and the sun on their faces. I'll come with you this Saturday, I said. That week, Michael and Jessica sent a letter. It arrived in a cream-coloured envelope, my name written in Jessica's neat handwriting. I opened it carefully, standing by my kitchen counter. Dear Mum, we owe you an apology. What happened at dinner was inexcusable. I, Jessica, take full responsibility for the plan to sedate you. I was wrong, and I'm deeply sorry. We have been struggling financially, and instead of being honest with you about our situation, we tried to take control in a way that was manipulative and cruel. We see that now. We're not asking you to restore the payments or change your will back. We understand that trust has been broken. But we would like the chance to apologize in person, to begin rebuilding a relationship and to show you that we can respect your boundaries going forward. If you're willing to meet with us, please let us know. We'll come to you at whatever time works. With love and regret, Michael. And Jessica, I read the letter 3 times. Then I called Tom Wright. If they try to meet with me, I said, can they use it against me in court, claim I'm forgiving them or changing my mind? Not if you document the conversation, and not if you maintain clear boundaries. You're allowed to forgive someone without giving them power over your finances. Forgiveness without access? Exactly. I called Michael. You can come to my house this Sunday, I said when he answered. 2 p.m, both of you. Mum, thank you. I'm not restoring the payments. I'm not changing my will. But I'll listen to your apology. That's all we're asking. Sunday came. I made tea I knew they would not drink and set out the cookies Amy and I had made the week before. They arrived exactly at 2. Michael looked thinner, tired. Jessica looked nervous. Her usual confidence dimmed. We sat in my living room, them on the sofa, me in the armchair, and they apologized. Jessica spoke first, her voice quiet, earnest. I was wrong. I was so focused on our financial problems that I convinced myself you weren't capable of making good decisions. But that wasn't true. You've always been capable. I just wanted control. Michael went next. I should have stopped her. I should have told you what she was planning. I was a coward. I chose the easy path instead of the right one. I listened. When they finished, I said, "I accept your apology." They both exhaled, relieved. "But," I continued, "accepting an apology doesn't mean things go back to the way they were. The automatic payments are cancelled. My will is changed. Those decisions are final." "We understand," Michael said quickly. "I'm willing to have a relationship with you," I continued, "but it will be different. No more asking for money, no more emergencies, no more access to my financial decisions. If you can accept those boundaries, we can move forward."
"We can,"
Jessica said. "We will." I looked at them both. I hope so. They left 20 minutes later. We hugged at the door, stiff, uncertain. When they drove away, I stood on my porch and breathed in the December air, cold and clean. I felt lighter. Not happy, not quite, but lighter. Winter passed slowly. I spent Saturdays at the community garden with Linda, turning frozen soil, planning spring beds, learning the names of vegetables I had never grown. The other volunteers were kind, curious, never asking questions I did not want to answer. We worked in comfortable silence or easy conversation, and I felt my body remember what it meant to move with purpose. Amy came every other weekend. We baked, watched movies, talked. About colleges she was starting to research, even though she was only 14. She told me about school dances and friendship drama and the boy in her math class who made her laugh. Normal grandmother-granddaughter things that had nothing to do with money or wills or crushed pills. Michael. And I spoke once a month, brief phone calls that stayed on safe topics. Amy's grades, the weather, his work. Jessica I did not speak to at all. She had sent one more letter in January, another apology, another plea for understanding. I had read it and filed it away without responding. By March, I barely thought about the money anymore, about the $153,000 I had given over 3 years, about the mortgage payments and car payments and emergency funds that had flowed from my account like water. It felt like someone else's life, someone smaller, someone I used to be. In early April, Linda and I arrived at the garden to find packets of wildflower seeds on our work table. Zinnias, cosmos, black-eyed Susans, flowers meant for cutting, for bringing home, for putting in vases on kitchen tables. "These are yours," one of the older volunteers said. "Plot 17, on the south side. Full sun, good drainage, perfect for flowers." "I've never grown flowers," I said. "Time to start." That afternoon, I knelt in the dirt and pressed seeds into the soil with my fingers. The earth was dark and rich, still cold from winter but warming in the April sun. My knees protested, 74 years old, but I ignored them and kept working. Linda knelt beside me, planting her own section. "You look happy," she observed. "I am," I said, surprised to realize it was true. Not the giddy happiness of new love or sudden success, something quieter, something that felt like I had been holding my breath for years and had finally exhaled. "You've changed," Linda continued, "since last fall. You're more yourself." I didn't realize I'd stopped being myself. "Neither did you. That's how it happens. Small compromises, little erosions, until one day you look up and don't recognize who you've become." I pressed another seed into the soil and covered it gently. "I'm trying to grow back." "You're doing more than trying." The seeds sprouted 2 weeks later, tiny green shoots pushing through the soil. I visited them every few days, watering, weeding, watching them grow taller. By May, they were blooming. Zinnias in bright pink and orange, cosmos in white and lavender, black-eyed Susans with their dark centres and yellow petals like small suns. I cut an armful and brought them home, arranging them in a mason jar on my kitchen table. They transformed the room, made it feel alive, made it feel like something more than the place I ate meals and paid bills, made it feel like home. That Saturday, Amy came to visit and stopped in the doorway when she saw the flowers. "Grandma, these are beautiful." "I grew them." "Really?" "At the community garden. With Linda." Amy walked to the table and touched one of the zinnias gently. "I didn't know you liked gardening." I didn't either. We looked at each other, and she smiled, that crooked smile with the gap in her teeth. "I'm glad you're doing things for yourself," she said quietly. "Me too." That afternoon, we sat on my back porch with lemonade and cookies, watching birds in the maple tree. It was warm, almost summer, the air thick with the smell of cut grass and blooming lilacs. "Grandma," Amy said, "can I ask you something?" "Always." "Do you think you'll ever forgive Dad?" "Really forgive him?" I thought about this carefully, about Michael on my porch crying, about the voicemails that had gone from anger to desperation to contrition, about the brief phone calls where we talked about nothing important. "I already have forgiven him," I said, "but forgiveness doesn't mean things go back to the way they were." "What does it mean then?" "It means I'm not angry anymore. It means I hope he's okay. But it also means I won't let him hurt me again. Those two things can be true at the same time." Amy nodded slowly, processing this. "Do you think that's wrong?" I asked. "To forgive someone but still keep distance?" "No, I think it's smart. Your dad doesn't see it that way. Dad still thinks everything can be fixed if he apologizes enough. He doesn't understand that some things just change, and you can't change them back." I looked at this girl who was wise beyond her years and felt a surge of pride. "You're going to be okay, Amy. Better than okay. Because of you," she said. Because of yourself. We sat in comfortable silence, drinking lemonade, watching the birds. Later that night, alone in my house, I walked through each room slowly. The living room with its comfortable furniture and the books I had finally had time to read. The kitchen with the wildflowers on the table and the clean counters. The bedroom where I slept soundly now, without the weight of other people's emergencies pressing on my chest. I had lived in this house for 37 years. Raised Michael here, grieved Robert here, worked long hours and came home exhausted to this same front door. But it had never felt entirely mine. There had always been something I was saving for, someone I was helping, some future crisis I was preparing for. Now, standing in my living room with the lamp casting warm light on the walls, I realized something. I had spent my entire life being useful, and usefulness had become my identity. I was the person who solved problems, who wrote checks, who said yes. But usefulness is not the same as value, and value is not measured by how much you give. I sat down on my sofa, the one I had bought 10 years ago and never actually sat on because I was always too busy, and I cried. Not from sadness, from relief. From the overwhelming realization that I had said no, that I had set boundaries, that I had protected my own life. And the world had not ended. Michael was still alive. Amy still loved me. Linda still called every Tuesday. I had not abandoned anyone. I had simply stopped abandoning myself. The wildflowers on my kitchen table bloomed for 2 weeks, bright and alive, before they began to fade. When they wilted, I cut fresh ones from the garden and brought them home. And then I did it again, and again. Each week new flowers, each week a reminder. You are allowed to bloom. It is June now, 6 months since the dinner. Amy visits every other Saturday. We have rituals. Saturday morning at the garden, lunch at the kitchen table with whatever I've baked that week. Afternoon on the porch with lemonade and comfortable silence. Last weekend, she helped me plant tomatoes in raised beds Linda and I built together. She got dirt under her fingernails and laughed when a worm wiggled across her palm. "This is nice," she said, pressing soil around a seedling. "I like this version of you." "What do you mean? You seem free. Like you're not worrying about everyone all the time. I'm not. Is that selfish?" I looked at her, this girl becoming a woman, already learning the lessons I wish someone had taught me at 14. "No," I said firmly. "Taking care of yourself isn't selfish, it's necessary. Mum says you've cut Dad off. I've set boundaries, that's different. What's the difference? Cutting someone off means you never want to see them again. Boundaries mean you'll have a relationship, but on terms that don't hurt you. She nodded, thinking about this. Do you still love Dad? Yes, but love doesn't mean sacrifice. Love doesn't mean disappearing. Michael calls me once a month on the first Sunday. We talk for 20 minutes about safe things. He tells me about work, I tell him about the garden. We do not talk about money. We do not talk about Jessica's plan or the switched glasses or the will I changed. We exist in careful orbit around each other, close enough to see but not close enough to collide. Jessica. I have not spoken to since the apology in December. I do not know if I ever will. I am learning that not every relationship can be saved, and that some relationships aren't worth the cost of saving. Last month, Tom Wright called to tell me someone had tried to file a guardianship petition for me. An anonymous complaint claiming I was incompetent, making poor decisions, in need of supervision. It was dismissed immediately, Tom said. Dr. Chen's competency evaluation was too strong, but I wanted you to know someone tried. I knew who it was. There was only one person with that much to gain from me being declared incompetent. But the petition failed. The document stood. My boundaries held. I am 74 years old. I wake up each morning in my own house, in my own bed, with no one asking me for money or signatures or pieces of myself. I make coffee and sit at the kitchen table with fresh flowers from the garden. I call Linda and we make plans for Tuesday lunch. I work in the garden on Saturdays, my hands in the soil, my face in the sun. I exist, not for anyone else, for myself. If you are reading this and you recognize yourself, the one who always helps, the one who always says yes, the one who measures love by how much you give, I want you to know something. Your worth is not your usefulness. You are not a checkbook. You are not a crisis manager. You are not a solution to other people's problems. You are a person, complete, valuable, worthy. And if the people in your life cannot see you as anything other than what you can do for them, then those people do not really see you at all. I spent 74 years believing that being needed was the same as being loved. It is not. Being needed is exhausting. Being loved is being seen. If your children treat you like an ATM, you have the right to close the account. If your family sees your boundaries as cruelty, they never saw you as a person. If setting limits makes you the villain, then perhaps you've been surrounded by people who need a villain more than they need the truth. I know this is hard to hear. I know you love them. I know you've sacrificed for them. I know you want to believe that if you just give a little more, wait a little longer, be a little more patient, things will change. They won't. Not until you change. Not until you stop measuring your value by how much you can give. Not until you say the word that saves your life. No, I am not telling you to cut off your family. I am not telling you to burn bridges or seek revenge. I am telling you to build a life that belongs to you, a life where you exist for yourself, not for everyone else, a life where you can sit at your kitchen table with flowers you grew and feel peace instead of guilt. That is not selfishness. That is survival. Precious proofs of. The wild flowers bloom every week now. I cut them and bring them inside, bright and alive, proof that something beautiful can grow from soil I tend with my own hands. Amy comes on Saturdays. Linda calls on Tuesdays. Michael calls monthly, and we are polite, distant, unresolved. I do not know if that will ever change. I do not know if we will ever be close again. But I know this: I am not lonely. I am quiet, but I am not small. I have boundaries and I have peace. The house still stands on Maple Street, the same house I've lived in for 37 years. But now it belongs to me, completely, legally, emotionally. My name is on the deed, my flowers are on the table. My life is my own. I am 74 years old, and for the first time I am not useful. I am free.